Hey Picklers, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Austin and I'm a 5.5 rated doubles and singles player, and I'm a professionally certified pickleball coach, and I'm the owner of the Pickleball Playbook training app that helps you to improve your game every single day. So without further ado, let's open the playbook. So a lot of the time we'll be in a dinking exchange and we'll miss opportunities where we could have sped up the ball, and instead what you see all the time is the player will take a big huge step backwards and dink that shot that they could have easily taken out of the air and applied more pressure on their opponent. And I think it's very relatable to all of us, where we miss out on attackable balls and applying pressure on our opponents, and instead we just choose to step back and dink the ball. The biggest problem with that is that's putting you in a defensive position on the court, because instead of an offensive position, all of a sudden now we have to take a huge step back, and now we're standing in what's referred to as no man's land, because it's a lot easier for our opponents to hit the ball at our feet in this position than to hit it at our feet in this position. Something that's very overlooked in pickleball is taking offensive shots. A lot of the time we think, oh, it's smart to dink, it's smart to dink, it's smart to dink, and we should just dink, 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 when that's not the case. We dink so that we can set ourselves up for an offensive opportunity. So that brings us to, how do we recognize when to hit that ball out of the air and when to dink it? And what it comes down to is the general distance that the ball travels, as well as the height of the actual ball. So the way that you want to think about your body is you have the red zone, which is anything that's below your knees. You have the yellow zone that is from your knees all the way up to your navel. And then you have the green zone, which is anything that's above that. And that's your opportunity to go. So obviously red means stop, which means dink. Yellow means, hey, it's an in-between. You could speed it up. Maybe not the best decision if it's on the low yellow side. Could be a good decision if it's on the high yellow side. And green, we're swinging through that shot, obviously attacking the ball. This video is sponsored by Hesicor. If you guys do not have one of these grips, this is the grip that I use for everything pickleball. I've been using this grip for over 1.5 years now. I absolutely love it. I love the little divots in it because it fills your hand, and each of these divots actually fit into each of your index knuckles inside of your palm. So it's super comfortable. You're not going to have any slipping, which is a huge problem that I had before, where my grip would slip constantly. This helps to just lock it in, and so it helps you to be in the correct grip every single shot that you're hitting, which I absolutely love. I will leave a link in the description of this video for this Hesicor grip. If you do not have one, I strongly suggest just trying it out. They're absolutely awesome. I have absolutely loved mine. It'll limit that slippage and just help you to be in the correct grip every single shot that you hit. Okay, so that brings us to the second reason, which we already know. We have red, yellow, and green. It all comes down to the distance, because we can have people where they're dinking it at us and it lands here, but it's so low that it would make no sense to speed this ball up. Because it's so low beneath the net, we're gonna have to hit up on that ball. So this is never gonna be a good decision. Now I'm sure I'll get people in the comments which will say, well, hey, never be a good decision. I've done that many times where I've passed my opponent. It's like, well, you're not playing against good enough people. Because once you get to a certain level, that no longer works. People's hands are just way too fast. So you don't wanna build a bad habit. So it comes down to the distance as well as the height. And that distance is gonna vary depending on the player. For me, if I bend my knees and I get real close in to the kitchen line and I reach in, the reason that I'm bending my knees is you guys can see how far I can reach without bending my knees. If I bend my knees, I get another like 2 or 3 inches of actual reach. And that doesn't mean that the tip of my paddle is where I'm going to be deciding to attack the balls based off of the height and the distance. It's not just the tip of my paddle, it's wherever my sweet spot is on my paddle, because that's truly where I can reach. Otherwise, I'm just gonna end up framing the ball over and over and over again. So this is gonna come down to getting reps in and understanding how far in can I reach and still consistently hit the sweet spot of my paddle. So what's so difficult about this for players is they have to determine 2 things in their mind prior to attacking the ball. They have to determine, can I reach that ball and hit it on my sweet spot? And it also comes down to, should I take a step back and dink the ball, or should I dink that ball out of the air? Because a big mistake that you'll see all the time is players will make the mistake of trying to apply pressure on their opponents after their opponents have hit a really low dink that's extremely difficult to get to, and it's short in the kitchen, and they choose to try to take that ball out of the air. It usually results in a pop-up, and most of the time results in them just missing the ball right into the net. And so when we're dinking the ball, what it comes down to is the overall distance of our sweet spot. So if I can reach in to here and hit it on my sweet spot, this being the position distance-wise, then I'm going to consistently hit these dinks out of the air because it's going to get back onto my opponent quicker. But if it's any further in, I'm allowing that ball to bounce and then I'm dinking it back. I'm not losing anything by doing that. I'm just putting the ball back to neutral, trying to set something up after that. But you'll see you'll win a ton of points if you do this correctly, where you know exactly where your distance is. And I've mentioned this every single video that I've done pretty much, is it all comes down to getting repetitions in. Getting a ball machine, I have the slinger ball machine, that's what I drill with most often. It's getting repetitions of, okay, this ball is slightly high, and I'm recognizing that, and I'm taking it out of the air. The next one is slightly low, and now I'm dinking that ball instead. And the best way to do that is to just get out and get rep after rep after rep in, and then that will help you to make the decision on whether or not to dink out of the air, to let the ball bounce and dink based off of the distance, or to attack the ball based off of the height and the distance. Because I can promise you, you're not going to show up to a tournament and make the right decision instantly just based off of watching this video. It's going to come down to getting those repetitions in. So here's a great drill for you guys to do to recognize when to speed up a ball, when to dink a ball out of the air, and then when to dink the ball off the bounce. You begin by setting cones just inside the non-volley zone line, and you want to put them at the exact distance of how far in you can reach and still hit your sweet spot with your knees bent. You then begin a dink rally back and forth, and you're playing to 11 on just half the court, and the ball becomes live after the third shot, which basically means anybody can speed it up at that point, but you don't have to. You can continue a dink rally. Now, if you hit your opponent's cone, you instantly win the game because that shows that they didn't reach in and take that dink out of the air or take their opportunity to speed up the ball. This game will really help you to get in the repetitions necessary to be able to make the correct decision, because I guarantee you if you go into your next rec game, you're going to realize now that you make the wrong decision on 90% of the shots that you make, where you're like, okay, I wasn't sure whether or not to dink it out of the air. So just go and get those reps in. Start with this drill. All right, that's everything for today. As you guys can see, I'm totally running out of light. If you guys are in need of any pickleball gear, go to selkirk.com, use my code ADV-Playbook. You can pick up paddles, bags, grips, anything, you name it, they have it. Also, I just barely uploaded this video right here that teaches you every single dink in pickleball. So if you want to improve your dink and your overall dink technique, which is probably why you're watching this anyway, I would suggest that you click this right here. It goes over how to hit a flat dink, an underspin dink, and a topspin dink on both the forehand and the backhand side. I will see you guys on the next one.